Hello, and welcome to another session of Art and Prayer as we use beautiful pieces of historic artwork and the scripture to help us enter into a time of deepening relationship with God. In one of the earlier sessions, I suggested that not all the art that we use for contemplation and prayer needs to be specifically biblical or even religious. Most of what we've used so far, in fact, everything that I can think of, has been. So it's helpful at this point to remind ourselves that although we've been doing these prayers for a while, the purpose is not necessarily to understand a scriptural story better, but rather to encounter God. And all sorts of art can lead us into such an encounter. If we structure our time and our prayer correctly, depictions of nature can lead themselves to contemplation of nature. An abstract art piece can lend itself to an open time of prayer without a preconceived agenda. Artwork that evokes thoughts about the human condition or a particular emotion within us can be used for prayer times about social or psychological struggles that we're having. It's important for us still, as we're doing that, to find a scripture to use with the artwork. But using art that is not necessarily biblical can allow us to expand the number of scripture texts that we use. There are texts that are not narratives or stories that aren't going to be painted. Prophecies and Psalms, the letters of Paul, passages of the Bible from texts like these can be used with more generalized artworks. By combining these scriptures with non-religious artwork, we can open new ways to encounter God and to deepen our relationship. Today, we're going to practice a more open-ended time of prayer, one that's focused mostly on being with God, by using a portrait of a nurse and child by Mary Cassatt. Mary Cassatt was an American impressionist who lived from 1844 to 1926, and although she was born in America, she traveled to France and did most of her painting there. She is known for painting the everyday domestic life, in particular, those spaces of life for women in her day. Before we view the painting, let us center ourselves, take a deep breath, know that as we do that, we are breathing in the presence of God, the one who placed breath within us. And now let us read Psalm 131. This scripture is also a glimpse of everyday life. It compares the writer's connection with God to a scene of a toddler with its mother. As you listen, pay attention to the image it paints in your mind and your emotional response to that image. So the image it paints in your mind and your emotional response to that image. Lord, my heart isn't proud. My eyes aren't conceited. I don't get involved with things too great or wonderful for me. No. But I have calmed and quieted myself like a weaned child on its mother. I'm like the weaned child that is with me. Israel, wait for the Lord. From now until forever from now. Picture yourself as that child seated in the presence of God, who is like a mothering caretaker for you. Calm yourself. Quiet yourself. This is a safe place here with God. You can trust God. How are you feeling? Have you stilled yourself in God's presence? Or is a part of you distracted, unable to keep still? Try to set aside those things that prevent you from being fully present with God. You can think about those things later. Focus only on you and God, together in this moment. As you continue to do that, let us look at Mary Cassatt's painting, Nurse and Child. Begin by noticing the muted colors and soft lines. Cassatt's choice of soft tones and gentle brush strokes conveys a peaceful, tender atmosphere. Let this artistic softness draw you even more deeply into the sense of calm and grounding that you began to capture as you listen to the psalm. Notice Cassatt's simplicity. The lack of embellishment in the background draws focus to the relationship itself. Allow that simplicity to encourage you to set aside distractions, focusing solely on your relationship with God. God is here. You are here. You are together. Now let's look at the figures themselves. The nurse and the child are deeply connected without verbal exchange. They need no words. They are simply sitting in a silent embrace and resting together. Notice how the nurse's arms encircle the child, creating a visual of security and closeness. The child's posture, relaxed, at ease, reflects an inherent trust in the caregiver. The tender embrace and protective love echo the Psalm's image of a child resting in a mother's care. Allow the painting to be a visual representation of yourself in the presence of God. A prayerful relationship with God that transcends words. Accept the silence and restfulness of God's presence. Place your trust in God to protect you and hold you close. Let us listen again to Psalm 131. But this time listen for a word or phrase that captures your attention. It can be a word that captures what you are feeling right now, or a phrase that captures what you wish you could feel right now. Lord, my heart isn't proud. My eyes aren't conceited. I don't get involved with things too great or wonderful for me. No, but I have calmed and quieted myself like a weaned child on its mother. I'm like the weaned child that is with me. Israel, wait for the Lord, from now until forever from now. What was the word or phrase that called for your attention? Hold that word or phrase for a moment. Don't overthink it. Just let it be with you. Repeat it to yourself a few times. Ask yourself, why did I notice this word, this phrase? Why is it important to me right now? Repeat that word to yourself again as you look at the painting. What draws your eye as you repeat the word? What color in the painting best captures the feelings you have when you think about that word? Do you think this is a word from you to God or a word from God to you? Does it feel like it is describing something you once had? What you are experiencing now? Or perhaps a dream you have for the future? If you are the child in the painting, and God the nurse, how does God want to help you with that word or phrase in your life? Take one last look at the painting. Know that you can come back to this place of safety and closeness with God anytime. God's warm embrace is always ready to hold you. The calm and peace of this moment can be called forth in any situation in your life. I find that time so reassuring. And yes, this is from a time of contemplation on a piece of art that's not particularly religious. But it shows the power of allowing ourselves to open to God using pictures as well as words. I hope that today has been an opportunity for you to rest in God, to be at peace. Yes, there is a word or phrase that you are carrying with you, like the words exchanged between a mother and child, between you and God. Let those words and that image enhance your relationship with God. Again, I thank you for joining me in this time of holy and sacred prayer, of encountering God. Peace be with you until we meet again.